welcome. And today I just wanted to make a little video on my second channel. I feel I've neglected it a bit, and I'm really in the mood to make a video. I think I'm only allowed 10 minutes until I reach a certain point. But today I just opened up the news. And honestly, I haven't looked at the news in 2 or 3 years. And when I did care, I would often check this channel. I felt it was kind of in the middle. And at first I was usually interested in the headline. And towards the end of my viewing this website, I found that the last articles were usually the most interesting, just buried at the end. Here we have California slipping back into a drought, and here today what caught my attention was the Venice flood. Now, somehow I'd heard about it anyway, but hadn't really looked into it much. It's the biggest flood in about 50 years, and pretty remarkable. And here we can see they've closed St. Mark's Cathedral, and the cultural minister warns that 50 churches across the city have been flooded this week. The disaster is much bigger than what people think when they watch television. They are blaming this on climate change. Climate change along with the tides. And as you can see, people are still shopping. They're probably selling the tourists' boots. And the electricity is out. And here they tell us they're working on a flood barrier, but it won't be completed till 2021. So very interesting. Being blamed on climate change. And this really reminds me of something I saw years ago, but quite the opposite. And in some cases they blame these receding oceans on hurricanes, even when there are no hurricanes in the region. This being one of them, some years ago, in Ecuador. And not just a short tide that moves in and out over the course of a 24-hour period, but waters that stayed at bay for days upon end, from January 2nd to the 5th. Here again, a little look. And so in some parts, we see major flooding, and mind you, we also find pyramids underwater to this day, along with the remains of cities. And if these ocean levels are rising due to climate change, then they should stay risen, with occasional rising and falling of tides, but predictable. The idea that this just happens occasionally, where is all the water going? And in the case with Venice, where is all the water coming from? And I've always wanted to talk about this in other videos, but never knew quite how to bring it up. And today I'm going to just take a little stab. We're told in older stories that the North Pole had a giant magnetic rock in the center of it. And we can see it depicted here in Mercator's map in the 1500s. And there are many stories of people who sailed here, and many accounts and enough of an account to make this beautiful map. And they're some of my favorite stories. And some will say that this is a complete fable, and that Mercator was a madman, or just copying other maps and pretty much clueless. And I love this map, because what we can see is 3 things that supposedly no longer exist. One being this 4-continent island with the magnetic rock, the Rupus nigra, here in the center. We also see one of my favorites, the Lago de Conibus, with a city in the middle of the lake. And lastly, we see this island of Friesland, which is depicted in so many different maps by many different map makers, seeming very real cities, and to this day it no longer exists. And so important was this little island that Mercator put it up here in the corner, right in the corner of the map, just in case we missed it down here. He gives us a nice detailed view of Friesland. And back to my point about this island, consisting of these 4 continents and 4 rivers. In the old fables, we're told that not only did the rivers flow inwards, forgive me, I believe that 2 of the rivers flowed in and 2 of them flowed out. And ships that found themselves in the wrong river were either stuck on the inside or could not enter from the outside. And it was also said that it drained. So in one sense you have this giant black rock, which some have theorized may have been a giant tree, even the tree of life. And we're also told that it drained. The waters would actually drain inwards. I'm not sure if they drained at the foot of this giant magnetic rock, but nevertheless a drain. And I just found it absolutely fascinating. And when I saw a picture like this some years ago for the first time, immediately I thought about Mount Meru and this drain that they speak of in the legends. And of course, this idea or these thoughts tie into this realm and the nature of this realm. And while political parties will bicker about the reasoning for rising and falling ocean levels, there are these old stories and these old maps. And it always brought me back to the idea that this realm can be flooded and also drained at will. And if it were the case, I think it would be beyond the control of mere men. But of course I could be wrong. These are just thoughts that I thought I would share. So I think I'll leave it there. Again, I don't want to go over 10 minutes. I don't think they allow it until a certain point. But I thank you so much for joining me today. And do have a blessed day. And please like, comment, and subscribe.